As the clock struck midnight on New Year's Eve 1924, a horrifying event unfolded that would forever haunt the occupants of a small townhouse in Massachusetts. Imagine the scene. A quaint townhouse nestled deep within the heart of Massachusetts, festooned with gleaming lights and holly, brimming with laughter and cheer, as the townsfolk gathered to bid farewell to the old year and usher in the new. Among the guests, there was a palpable sense of anticipation, a shared expectancy of what the coming year might bring, a year of hope, of new beginnings, or so they thought. As the night wore on, the festivities were interrupted by the arrival of an unexpected guest. A man none of the partygoers recognized, yet he carried himself with an eerie familiarity, as though he belonged there. His presence was peculiar, his demeanor unsettling. He didn't mingle with the crowd, nor did he partake in the celebrations. Instead, he stood in a corner, his eyes scanning the room, watching, waiting. The merriment soon gave way to unease. The lights seemed to dim every time he moved, the laughter hushed every time he spoke. Partygoers felt a cold draft whenever they passed him, a chill that seeped into their bones, a chill they couldn't shake off. The jovial atmosphere was gradually replaced by an unspoken dread, a sense of impending doom that hung over the room like a dark cloud. The clock continued its relentless march towards the new year, oblivious to the growing tension. Strangely, as the minutes ticked away, odd occurrences began to unfurl. Whispers of spectral apparitions, fleeting shadows in the corner of the eye, unexplained noises from empty rooms. The once bustling townhouse was now shrouded in an eerie silence, the festivities forgotten, replaced by a sense of foreboding. As the night grew darker, so too did the atmosphere within the house, a chilling prelude to the terror yet to come. Following the eerie events of the party, the stroke of midnight brought with it an unimaginable horror. As the final chime of the old year echoed through the grand halls of the party venue, a hush fell over the crowd. The anticipation of a new beginning was tangible, but little did they know, the true nature of their uninvited guest was about to be revealed. With the first second of the new year, the stranger's jovial facade fell away. His features twisted into a grotesque form, his eyes glowing with a malevolent light that sent shivers down the spine of every onlooker. The room filled with gasps and screams as the crowd recoiled in horror. The party, once filled with laughter and cheer, had turned into a scene of utter chaos. As the horrifying figure reveled in the terror he had incited, the partygoers scrambled to escape. Doors that were once welcoming entries now became desperate exits. The sound of pounding feet and terrified cries echoed through the halls, a chilling counterpoint to the festive music that still played, a chilling reminder of the joy that had once filled the space. The stranger's terrifying transformation was not the only horror that night. As people raced to escape, they found themselves trapped. The once familiar layout of the party venue twisted and turned into a maze-like trap. No matter how they ran or where they hid, the horrifying figure always seemed to be just a step behind. The night that started with the promise of new beginnings ended in a terrifying struggle for survival. The uninvited guest, a terrifying specter of the past, had turned their New Year's Eve celebration into a nightmare they would never forget. As the first day of the new year dawned, the survivors were left to grapple with the chilling truth of their New Year's Eve nightmare. The terror of that night would haunt their dreams, a stark reminder that not all beginnings are filled with hope and joy. New Year's Eve, 1978, a family in rural Ohio was about to experience a haunting like no other. This tale begins with a typical family celebration. The house was filled with laughter, the clinking of glasses, and the promise of a new beginning. As the clock struck 12, the family gathered around the television to watch the iconic ball drop in Times Square. As the last echo of their jubilant cheers faded, a sudden chill swept through the room. The lights flickered, the television static crackled ominously, and the once cheerful atmosphere turned into a scene of eerie silence. As the family exchanged puzzled glances, a chilling apparition appeared. It was a spectral figure, draped in a shroud of mystery, its eyes glowing with an otherworldly light. The apparition seemed to be caught in a loop of time, repeating the same motions over and over, as if stuck in the final moments of the previous year. The family watched in horror as the ghostly figure traced the same path, repeating its macabre dance, oblivious to their terror-stricken faces. In desperation, the family decided to fight against the supernatural force. They chanted prayers, lit candles, and clung to each other for dear life. They could only hope that their collective faith would be enough to banish the restless spirit. As the night wore on, the apparition began to fade, its spectral light growing dimmer, its motions slower. As dawn broke, the figure vanished, leaving behind a chilling silence. But the ordeal was not over. When they dared to venture outside, they found their yard covered in a blanket of frost, despite the relatively mild weather. The frost formed intricate patterns that mirrored the spectral figure's dance, a chilling reminder of the night's events. As the sun rose on New Year's Day, the family was left with a haunting memory that would forever taint their New Year celebrations. A haunting that served as a grim reminder that not all new beginnings are filled with joy and hope. Sometimes they carry echoes of the past, haunting reminders of things best left forgotten. As the countdown to the new millennium began on New Year's Eve 1999, a group of friends in New York City were about to embark on a horrifying journey. Our tale begins with a group of 6 friends, eager to welcome in the year 2000 with a bang. They planned a night of revelry, filled with laughter, music, and the promise of new beginnings. Little did they know, this celebration would soon turn into a nightmare. As the evening progressed, one of them, a young woman named Emily, vanished without a trace. The festive atmosphere quickly soured, replaced by a chilling sense of dread. The friends searched high and low, but Emily was nowhere to be found. The clock struck midnight, marking the beginning of the new millennium, but there was no joy in this moment, only a growing fear. In the early hours of New Year's Day, they made a gruesome discovery. In the basement of the building where they were celebrating, hidden away in a dark corner, they found Emily. But she was not the same. Her eyes were devoid of life, her body cold. A sense of terror gripped them all as they realized their friend was no longer among the living. Investigators were called, and the scene that unfolded was straight out of a horror movie. Emily had been brutally murdered, her life snuffed out as the rest of the world celebrated the dawn of a new era. The friends were left in shock, their joyous celebration turned into a horrific ordeal. As they grappled with the aftermath, they were left to wonder who could have done such a thing and why. The answers, as it turned out, were far more chilling than they could have ever imagined. As the new millennium dawned, the friends were left to face a harrowing reality, forever etching this New Year's Eve into their memories. As we reflect on these true New Year's Eve horror stories, we're reminded of the chilling unpredictability that can accompany the stroke of midnight. The tales we've shared today are not just stories, but real experiences that have left their mark on the lives of those involved. Our first tale, The Unwanted Guest, is a stark reminder that sometimes the most frightening monsters are those who walk among us, concealed in the guise of everyday individuals. The unexpected arrival of an uninvited stranger transformed a festive celebration into a night of terror, leaving our storyteller with a haunting memory that will forever be associated with the joyous chime of the new year. In The Midnight Terror, we saw how the very moment that should have been filled with joy and anticipation became a chilling encounter with the unknown. The deafening silence of the midnight hour was shattered by a terrifying presence, turning the symbol of new beginnings into a horrifying ordeal. The dread of that fateful night continues to linger, turning each New Year's Eve into a chilling reminder of the terror that unfolded. The haunting of the new year took us on a journey where the past refused to stay buried. What was meant to be a fresh start was marred by the relentless grip of a chilling apparition, a stark reminder that sometimes the past can come back to haunt us in the most terrifying ways. As we've journeyed through these horrifying tales, it's clear that New Year's Eve, a night typically filled with celebration and hope, can take a sinister turn. These stories serve as a reminder that the unexpected can lurk around any corner, even during the most joyous of occasions. But they also remind us of the resilience of the human spirit, the ability to endure and rise above even the most chilling of experiences. As we count down to the next new year, remember, when the clock strikes midnight, anything can happen.